Hello, this is I Go Travel with Don Barnett. The main bike areas on Vancouver Island are in the Victoria area. The Trans-Canada Trail begins there, and we'll show you a little bit of it. Then we'll go out to the Pacific Rim, to the National Park out there, and we'll bike the beaches and take a look at the trails out that way. And there are some other trails, some short biking we did on the Vancouver Island, and we'll show you those too. So come along, let's take a bike ride. The blue line here represents the boundary area of Vancouver Island with the big deep inlet here up by Port Alberni. The yellow line is our road travel as we traveled around the island doing a little bit of biking. We had bicycled a lot in the Victoria area previously, and that's the origin of the Trans-Canada Trail, and that is a great bicycling area. Other communities do have bicycling trails, but the ones that we stopped at was one up by Parksville and over here at the Pacific Rim National Park. We bicycled on the sand there, and that was a unique experience. We also traveled up to Campbell River, and they have a nice bike trail along the waterfront there. So let's take a look at the bike trails of Vancouver Island. Victoria and its surrounding area offer a lot of top quality bike riding. Downtown Victoria is mile 1 of the Trans-Canada Trail. This initial part of the Trans-Canada Trail between Victoria and Souk is called the Galloping Goose. The Galloping Goose bike and hiking trail runs along the coast between Victoria and Souk. The trail where we're parked in here is called the Cowichan Valley Trail. Both of these trails are part of the Trans-Canada Trail, and this trail runs from Souk eastward toward Cowichan Lake. One of the largest timber rail trestles in the world, called the Kinsol Tressle, is along this trail. If you cannot ride all the way from Souk, you should drive to the other end near Cowichan Lake to see this very impressive Kinsol Tressle. It carried the old steam locomotives in its day, and you can walk or ride across it today. From the Victoria area in the south here, we headed up island to Parksville. Here we stayed at the island's largest provincial park, Rathtrevor Beach. The trail through the park was along the very large beach area, but the trail itself was not very long, perhaps only a couple of kilometers, but it was an easy and a very enjoyable ride. We biked alongside a quite a large picnic area. This is a popular park in summer, and it requires advanced camping reservations to get into it. Here you can see the large beach area. Big tides come in and out here. We biked along one area here where the vegetation of sort of brush and thickets was quite high, and the sandy beach area was covered. There were benches to sit on and nice little scenic places from the benches. Here we're going through a kind of a wooded area. So there was some variety in the trail, even though, like I said, it's a fairly short trail. Here you can see the old wooden fences from a lot of years ago, and they set the boundary markers for much of the trail. Here we're coming into an open area, and you can see where people have stopped and taking a rest on the bench and just enjoying the seacoast scenery. This is a more wooded area, so there was some variety in the trail, and it was easy going, all level as could be. There were walkers, and it's a fairly crowded trail. It's not really that great of a bicycle trail in that there's a lot of people at times on it, and you have to pick your times. It's quite a retirement area. People used to enjoy the big rabbits that hopped about, but the rabbit numbers seem to be reduced, largely because of their digging holes like these everywhere. We just loaded up the bikes, and we're headed for the Pacific Coast, the national park out there. There's a great beach, the Long Beach, it's called, and great for bike riding, I'm told. And they've also got a very nice bike trail out there between Ucluelet and Tofino. So let's go find out what it's like. You get to the national park and Tofino and Ucluelet from Port Alberni and the coast by going west on Highway 4, and you come to a T intersection out by the Pacific Coast, and you either go left to Ucluelet or to the right to the community of Tofino. In this video, we are going to ride our bicycles on the great paved bicycle trail between Ucluelet and Tofino. And second, we are going to ride the hard sand of the Pacific Rim National Park along the beach. My wife in particular was interested to see if we could ride our bikes at Long Beach, the big ocean beach out at Pacific Rim National Park on the coast. But I was not so sure. I had had some previous experience of getting stuck in sand, and I did not relish the idea at all of sinking my new e-bike into a bunch of sand. But we did not have to deal with that right away. There are actually two bike riding areas out by the national park. One is on the beach itself. The other one is right here, a very nice paved bike trail between the coastal communities of Tofino and Ucluelet. The trail is about 40 kilometers long and runs along the highway. There is always a bit of separation between the bike trail and the highway. And when the trail and the highway got too close together, there was this nice concrete barrier and fence. It was a nice, safe, free from traffic bike trail. Once we get into the national park, the trail leaves the highway and goes between the highway and the beach. There's the national park sign on the right up there. It won't be long now. We should be leaving the highway and going into the woods in the national park before very long here. Okay, yeah, there's the turn. We're heading into the woods now. Look at the yellow sign high on the tree on the right. There were signs like these to tell you when there was a curve ahead. It made you feel like you were riding on an actual highway, but instead it was a nice, safe bike trail. The signs also told you that riders coming in the opposite direction could be just around the next bend. There was a lot of variety on the trail. It made it feel that you were on a real wilderness trail because the brush and the trees that had to be cut to make the trail, there was no effort to remove them or groom the trail. As you can see, it just was piled along the side of the trail. There were several bridges as the streams ran toward the Pacific Ocean. And really, it was just a nice trail. You had to keep your eye on the trail. There were lots of curves, and here's another one of the signs telling us that there's a curve just ahead. The noise you hear is probably from our fat, wide tires. They make a little more noise than a regular sized tire, but we do like the width for the added stability. And this was another section along the trail. It looked like tall poplar type trees. I'm not sure the names of them, but there was a variety of vegetation as we rode the trail. In some places there was this red stuff on the road, and that was, I believe, some needles from the pine trees from the forest, and it was a little damp, and it seemed like it could be a little bit slippery, but it wasn't. However, the new wood plank board surfaces on some of the bridges could be slippery in the rain, and they were also slippery places if there was ice or snow on them in early spring or in the fall. Therefore, some bridges were covered with wire mesh like this to help ensure better traction for your bike tires. We are at Pacific Rim National Park, and we are headed for the beach. Long Beach in the national park is the longest sand beach on Vancouver Island, at about 16 kilometers, and it was getting time to ride the sand. Although I must admit I was getting a little more nervous about it. The reason I'm a little nervous about the sand is that I'm an expert on sand. I got stuck one time back in a boat in a trailer into a lake, and I had to have a farmer come along with his winch on his truck to pull me out. And another time I was in Mexico turning around in a small town down there, and I got stuck, and I could only go in one direction. I could not go forward, I could not go back, I only could go down. And there was a fella about a block away, a Mexican fella working on a house, and he saw I was in some trouble, so he came over. And I didn't know if he was going to rob me or what he was going to do. So he came over and got his shovel out, and he worked about an hour on my camper to get it and put boards underneath it. He jacked it up, the wheels, and hooked up his chain finally to his truck, and we finally got out of that mess. I offered him a $20 American bill, and you know, he didn't speak English very well, and he just said, "Welcome to Mexico, welcome to Mexico." Hey, what's that? My cameraman. What do you say? No, I wasn't being prejudiced. No, I offered him $20. That took care of the prejudice. You could buy your parking ticket from the automatic machines at any one of several parking areas along the beach. You know, I'm still awfully nervous about this sand. I have to figure out a way to talk my wife into taking her bike across that sand first. If I can do that, it'd be a lot better for me. We had a little rest before we tackled the beach. To find a place to actually get our bikes onto the beach was not all that easy. Over the years, a lot of debris has been piled up along the beach areas. My wife struggled to get her bike over and through the debris. While she was doing that, I went down to the other end of the parking lot to see if I could find maybe an easier access to the beach. Surely it couldn't be all that hard And hey, look what I found. When I rode my bike onto the beach, my wife was just finally lifting and pushing her bike over and through the logs. At that point, I didn't see any point in telling her about the good access that I had found. The tide was out, but there was a lot of water left over laying around, and I knew that that might be soft, so I told my wife to be sure and stay away from those wet areas. I told her to go ahead and that I would follow her. Don't ride your bike through that wet area. Walk through it. No, don't go through there. It's soft. It's soft. Look at that. She never sank. No, not again. Don't do it. This is bad. Look at there. No sinking. It's hard as a rock, that sand. Well, we're sailing along. Look at that. You can see the ripples in the sand, but it is rock hard. Hey, okay, just wait for me. Wait for me. I'm coming. Wait. Riding on the sand was a unique, enjoyable experience. The tide was out, but you can see those logs on the top of the rocks there were pushed up there by the ocean when the tide was in. So the tide really makes quite a difference. But we bicycled in and around, in effect, what would be islands, or not even islands. The tops of these rocks would be underwater. Right here, I'm actually out in the water with my bike, holding the handlebars with one hand and my movie camera in the other. Beach riding is a lot of fun and totally safe. There is no chance whatsoever to sink into wet sand. You can see here where the weight of the bicycle tire hardly makes an imprint on the sand at all. I knew that all along. You can just barely make out the track of the bike tire on the sand. No sinking whatsoever. Everybody knows that. I tell you, anyone with a brain in their head at all knows that that sand on the beach is hard as a rock, and it's great bike riding. Here's a few pictures of the long waterfront bike trail here at Campbell River. Campbell River in the north was another place we enjoyed our bikes. There is this long walking, jogging, biking trail along the waterfront. There are other places and other areas on the island like this to bike. It just seems like bike recreation seems to be on the rise everywhere. Someone asked me about riding bikes on the Gulf Islands. Although I took this picture of one of the Gulf Islands are not very good for bike riding. The roads tend to be narrow with no shoulders, and there are curves and small hills where visibility is not good. If you do ride on these roads, be cautious and aware of the traffic. All right, that's a little bit of bicycling on Vancouver Island. They're all kind of family trails that we were on. Hope you enjoyed it, and hit the subscribe button, and that'll let you know when we're bringing more bike trails onto the video. This is I Go Travel with Don Barnett. We'll see you on the next bike trail.